Eventually, another human being appeared, a nurse in a cape and cap, walking regally towards Grace. "Excuse me, I'm looking for the nurse's bedrooms." The nurse sighed, as if Grace had asked her to swing from a trapeze or whittle a likeness of the king from a stick. "I'll show you." They walked down another corridor, this one painted a sickly pale green. There were more nurses here. One slowed and nodded at Grace's escort. "Aren't you off?" "Supposed to be," she said, indicating Grace. "Found a lost lamb." "If it's not one thing, it's another," the second nurse said, frowning. She had very black hair, just visible under her starched cap. Grace was hot with shame and the fear that her saviour would decide to abandon her. "This way," the nurse said, pointing to a door and rushing off. There was a black metal sign above it, with white writing that read, "Private, Nursing Quarters." Underneath, stuck with drawing pins, there was a sheet of paper. "No unauthorized persons at any time. Nurses must abide by curfew." It was signed by W.S. Bennett. Grace pushed on the door, half expecting it to be locked, and it swung open. Inside, a windowless corridor was bathed in bluish light. Two nurses, dressed in travelling capes, appeared from a side door. "Excuse me," Grace managed to say as they swept past. "Where are the bedrooms?" The nurses stopped walking. One had a pleasant round face and laughing eyes, and the other, shorter one, had a dark look. "New girl, I suppose?" she said. "Poor you." Roundface turned down the corners of her mouth in sympathy. "I suppose you've signed your papers." Grace nodded. The dark girl blew out her cheeks. "Nothing to be done, then. Rooming list is down the hall. Good luck." Grace found her room number from the list. Until she saw her name neatly printed on the paper, she'd almost expected to discover that it was a joke, or that she'd misunderstood the matron, and she hadn't, in fact, been offered a position at all. It seemed so unlikely that she was soon going to be wearing a uniform. That she could ever be as confident as the nurses she'd just met was unthinkable to her. The room was a double, 2 iron-framed beds, 2 nightstands, 1 wardrobe. Grace's trunk stood in the middle of the floor. She set about unpacking and was just about to push the empty trunk underneath her bed when the door banged open. "You're new. Hello." Grace straightened up. "Yes, I'm—" "You can't do that." The nurse gestured to the trunk. "A porter will take it to the luggage room." Grace had been looking forward to using it for extra storage. "Why can't I keep it here?" The girl swept into the room and began unpinning her cap. "I'm Evie. Last girl I roomed with was a terrible drip. You're not planning on crying yourself to sleep every night, are you?" "No," Grace said. It sounded bold, put like that, and her voice held a note of challenge. The short silence that followed didn't feel entirely friendly. She added, "At least, I don't think so." "Good," Evie said. "It's hard enough to keep down in this place as it is." She put her cap on top of her nightstand and began struggling out of her long apron and pinstripe dress. Grace quickly looked away. She nudged her trunk with her foot, trying not to blush. "Has anyone showed you around yet?" "No." Grace nudged the trunk a little more, then risked a glance at her roommate. She was down to her slip and was fussing with her fringe, trying to pin a single roller in it. "Come on, then," she said. "But what?" Evie had pulled on a silk dressing gown and slippers. Grace didn't know how to say, "You don't have your clothes on," without sounding rude, so she closed her mouth. Outside the room, doors banged and footsteps echoed. "Night shift having breakfast. Then it's the sisters. And then us sorry lot get our grub." "Does Matron Clark eat with us?" Grace asked. "No fear." Evie shook her head. "Nurse Jones." A squarish woman wearing Sister's uniform and a thunderous expression bore down upon them. "This is not a doss house." "No, Sister," Evie said, sounding contrite. "It's just the new girl was desperate to be shown around, and no one had had the time yet, and I'd only got a few minutes." "I don't care if you had but a single second. You should have used it to dress yourself properly. Go back to your room at once."